Hello everyone, myself Professor Shahana Sengupta. Presently, I am associated with Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, Kolkata as an assistant professor in the Department of Microbiology. First of all, I would like to welcome you all in my YouTube channel. Generally, in my YouTube channel, I used to share different types of academic related videos on the field of biological science. Today, I have planned to share with you all a new topic, that is the types of vaccination. Let's start with our new journey with the new topic. Happy listening. A vaccine is a biological preparation that improves immunity to a particular disease. A vaccine typically contains an agent that resembles a disease causing microorganisms and is often made from weakened or killed forms of the microbes. It generally produced from living organisms, mainly microorganisms, either the whole microorganisms or the part of the microorganisms or a kind of secretion from the microorganisms can be used as a source of vaccine. Vaccines are made using several different processes. They may contain live microorganisms or attenuated form of microorganisms so as not to cause any sorts of illness. Inactivated or killed form of the organisms or viruses or bacteria also can be used for the same purpose. Depending on this variation, we can categorize vaccines into 8 major types. Number 1, live vaccines. Number 2, live attenuated vaccines. Number 3, inactivated vaccines. Number 4, subunit vaccines. Number 5, toxoid vaccines. Number 6, conjugate vaccines. Number 7, DNA vaccine. And lastly, recombinant vector vaccines. Let's discuss about the live vaccines. Live vaccines are made from live infectious agent without any sorts of amendments. However, the main disadvantage of this vaccine category are safety concerns. In particular, older live vaccines such as oral polio vaccine or OPV carry the risk of reversion to natural virulence via back mutations of the attenuated organisms and the possibility of causing a symptomatic affection similar to the wild viruses. The only live vaccine is used nowadays, that is the variola smallpox vaccine, that is made of live vaccinia cowpox virus. That is not the real strain of variola, which is not pathogenic but antigenic for the human being, and that is very much effective for giving cross immunity for the variola strain. The second important type of vaccines are live attenuated vaccines, which contain whole bacteria or viruses which have been weakened or attenuated so that they can create a protective immune response but do not cause disease in a healthy person. Live vaccines tend to create a strong and lasting immune response. However, live vaccines are not suitable for people whose immune system doesn't work properly either due to drug treatment or any underlying illness. This is because the weakened virus or bacteria can multiply too much and might cause disease in these immunosuppressed persons. Now I would like to discuss about the example of live attenuated vaccines. One of the most important example of live attenuated vaccine is oral poliovirus vaccine or OPV, It is also called as Savin vaccine. It is named after its inventor Albert Savin, and it was first used in 1961 against the disease poliomyelitis. It is found highly effective against all three serotypes of the poliovirus. The next important example of the same vaccine is BCG. BCG vaccine protects against tuberculosis. This is a suspension of living cells of a strain of Mycobacterium tuberculosis known as Bacillus of Calmette and Guerin. Calmette and Guerin were two renowned French bacteriologists, and they invented attenuated vaccines. Rather than these two important examples, other examples of live attenuated vaccines are MMR, that means measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, rotavirus, and oral typhoid. Major advantage of this type of vaccine is that it can raise immune response to all protective antigens and requires only a single dose of immunization. It has more durable immunity. Other advantages are like low cost, quick immunity building, easy administration, and easy transport in field. Major problem associated with this type of vaccine is the potential to revert to virulence, and which is often frequent. The next important category of vaccines are inactivated vaccines. These vaccines contain whole killed microorganisms, especially viruses. Organisms are either killed or inactivated by heat or chemicals, but they remain antigenic in nature. They are usually safe but less effective than live attenuated vaccines. The only absolute contradictions to their administration is a severe local or general reactions to a previous dose. Vaccines against influenza, polio, hepatitis A, and rabies are the examples of inactivated vaccines. The upcoming type of vaccines are subunit vaccines. Subunit vaccines contain only specific purified macromolecules derived from the pathogens. They contain only the antigenic part of the pathogen, which are necessary to elicit a protective immune response. The risk associated with attenuated or kill whole vaccines can be avoided by the applications of subunit vaccines. Immunization against plague is an example of subunit vaccination. The next category of vaccines are toxoid vaccines. They are prepared by detoxifying the exotoxin of some bacteria, rendering them antigenic but not pathogenic. The exotoxins are treated with either heat or chemicals for inactivation. This makes them unable to cause the disease but can stimulate the body to produce antitoxoid antibodies. The antibodies produced in the body as a consequence of toxoid administration neutralize the toxic moiety producing during infection rather than act upon the organism itself. In general, toxoids are a highly efficacious and safe immunizing agent. The next important type of vaccines are conjugate vaccines. Conjugate means connected or joined. In the early days of polysaccharide vaccines, that was basically made using sugars from the surface of the bacteria, it was found that they didn't work well in babies and young children. Researchers discovered that they worked much better if the polysaccharide was attached or conjugated to something else that they knew created a strong immune response. In most conjugate vaccines, the polysaccharide is attached to diphtheria or tetanus toxoid proteins. The immune system recognizes these proteins very easily, and this helps to generate a stronger immune responses to the polysaccharide. An ideal example of conjugate vaccine is the Haemophilus influenza type B vaccine. The next category is DNA vaccine. DNA vaccines are made up of plasmid that has been genetically engineered to produce one or two specific proteins or antigens from the selected pathogen. The vaccine DNA is injected into the cell of the body where the inner machinery of the host cells reads the DNA and converts it into pathogenic protein. Because these proteins are recognized as foreign entity, and when they are processed by the host cell and displayed on their surface, then the immune system gets alerted and they are ready to trigger a good range of immune responses. The upcoming category is recombinant vaccine. The recombinant vaccines are made using bacterial or yeast cell to manufacture the vaccine. A small piece of DNA is taken from the virus or bacterium against which we want to protect. This is inserted into other cells to make them produce large quantities of active ingredients for the vaccine. Usually, just a single protein or a sugar is being produced. For example, to make the hepatitis B vaccine, part of the DNA from the hepatitis B virus is inserted into the DNA of yeast cell. These yeast cells are then able to produce one of the surface protein from the hepatitis B virus, and this is purified and used as the active ingredients in the vaccine. Different types of viral vectors is using for the similar purposes like vaccinia virus, attenuated poliovirus, canarypox virus, adenovirus, and BCG strain of Mycobacterium bovis. Already I have discussed about all the major 8 types of vaccines. Now I would like to enlighten one term, that is the booster dose. A periodic booster administration must be given in order to strengthen and lengthen the duration of immunity. Many vaccines require a booster shot after the initial dose to continue preventing the disease. Some diseases are more resilient than others. Over time, the body can lose the antibodies first provided by a vaccination, leaving it open to the disease once again. After an initial vaccination, the body sometimes needs a wake-up call to continue preventing a disease in the form of a booster shot. Without these reminders via boosters, there can be the resurgent outbreaks of the disease. For example, a booster shot of the tetanus diphtheria vaccine is recommended for adults in a gap of every 10 years. Researches with vaccinations is really a never-ending journey. Over the time, newer diseases are being introduced and challenges are developing. Who have a separate unit for the research and development of vaccine, whose initiative for vaccine research facilitates vaccine research and development against pathogens with significant disease and economic burden, with a particular focus on low and middle income countries. Finding a safe, effective, and durable vaccines is really a top priority for the world. Through the Vaccine Research Center and the Division of Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, NIAID, that means National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, is recently busy in conducing and supporting biomedical research that leads to the increased knowledge about HIV interactions with the human immune system and evolution of the most promising vaccine candidates. Nowadays, whenever we are all running through a pandemic situation due to the COVID-19, and we are all waiting for the particular vaccine to come, and that can cure all the problem that is basically evolving due to that coronavirus. Thanks a lot for your patience. Please do subscribe my channel. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos in different fields of biosciences.